I will work on my commentaries. Hello and welcome to the JTECH Game Studios YouTube channel. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be doing the first part of 45 minutes game development challenge. And first, well, I set the timer to 30 minutes because I was a little bit worried about whether I'd actually be able to make it. So what I do first, I delete the camera because I'm going to be putting a first person controller in it. Oh yeah, by the way, you could use this as a Unity tutorial if you wanted to. It would be fine if you did. I wouldn't really mind. So I place down the terrain and then I mess around with lens flares because I like lens flares, and my screen recorder's a little bit stuttery because of how long I have to record it for, but it's alright. So now I put a grass texture down onto the terrain, and I'm just putting in the first hill, which will be where the player spawns. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a few more hills, as well as get another texture, which will be a rock texture, so that I can paint that onto the side so that it looks pretty, or was paying a little bit too much attention to the terrain detail, which maybe I shouldn't have. But it doesn't matter because this is two parts and I've got the terrain sorted. That's one of the biggest parts, because terrain can take quite a while. In game development, I always find creating a terrain or an environment quite hard to do in a short amount of time. So when I am currently putting this commentary over a video, so I know what happens, but I'm not going to tell you because I want you to find out what happens. So now I'm just painting my rock texture onto the hills so that it looks a little bit prettier and so that it doesn't look completely strange. It's possible for you to have hills with just grass and no stones showing, but I prefer having stones showing. Anyway, so getting all this done, and I'm just about done on the first part. I'll come back to it after I've done this little bit here, and then I'll just concentrate on the actual game itself. And I probably should have realised already, yeah, there's something a little bit strange about me and terrain. Yeah. I like putting pretty stuff into the game. I should focus more on gameplay, but I mean, this is two parts. I already decided that, so I guess I wasn't worrying as much. Anyway, now after painting a little bit, I'm going to just add a little bit more of a shape to the terrain, because the enemies and stuff, it has to be tricky. It has to be challenging, but then not too challenging, because if it's too challenging, not many people would play it. That's a good piece of advice for game development. If any of you are wanting to do that, I would also maybe not put loads of pressure on you by putting yourself under a time limit, like half an hour or whatever. Try and do something a little bit more reasonable so that you don't end up rushing. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to be not rambling on about stuff and not going off track, and I'm going to be actually doing the commentary. So I'm just placing this gun. I don't have enough time to create my own script, so I'm going to be recycling scripts from vacuum trick shots, and I'm also just going to be using this cool flare gun asset. I really like it. So it currently just has flares, so I'm going to be creating the bullet in a minute. Yeah, it's a little bit strange, but it's cool, and I kept on pressing Control S or save. So yeah, the save stuff popped up and I didn't want to save because that would have been a little bit of a waste of time. Just adding textures to the gun, and then I've gone into play mode. I do go into the other stuff, so like I add sun shafts because I love my lighting effects, as you've probably seen a little bit too much. Anyway, so what I've done is I've just gotten a little bit too I've made the directional light go off to the near the sun, so it's a little bit more of a realistic lighting for the sun shafts, which it's important because it looks a little bit strange if you don't put the light really high up in the air. So what I'm doing now is I'm putting motion blur probably not going to use it because at this point in the video I remembered some people don't like motion blur that much. I like it, but really I should care more about other people. So yeah, that'll be an option obviously because I like putting options in. Anyway, so now I'm in play mode, and yeah, this is a little bit of a lag spike because it's firing a flare. It's pretty cool. I really like this asset. It's recommended for anyone who does Unity work and wants to find some assets. It's a recommended from me. It comes with the flare bullets and some other stuff, extra functionalities. It's a good asset. So what I'm doing now is, well, I've forgotten about these scripts, how they behave, because I use my own scripts, and I realised that these were scripts that I used to use quite a bit, and these scripts don't work properly, so yeah, it's a little bit of a strange thing, but I'm going to include this in the video because I find it a little bit funny. So, and then moment of realisation that I've used the wrong script. Yes, I realised that, which is good. So I use the other script, and this also doesn't work very well. And then I go and take one of the enemy AI scripts out of the thing, out of vacuum trick shots, and now I'm just seeing where this cube is, which it's not here. So I've realised I should probably focus on actual gameplay and the rest of the project, because at this point in time I don't have I've gone through almost half of my time, half of the first 20 minutes, and this is where I start creating the bullet, so I'm back to starting on the bullet. So yeah, what I'm doing now is, if you want to use this flare gun asset and you want to create your own projectile, you have to add a rigid body onto it. If you're learning stuff, good. What I'm doing now is I'm just assigning a few physics properties. I didn't really have to, so I just prefab that, delete the bullet from the scene, and I make it so that it has flare bullet behaviors, so it has a sound when you go near it, and it has a timer so you don't shoot loads of bullets, because I'm going to make it so that the gun shoots infinite bullets, because it's a fictional game, it doesn't have to be realistic. And yes, I'm going to probably put a missile into the game, because missiles, you know, it would be cool having something like that in. So I go back to painting the terrain, which, you know, I really just was trying to think of what I was going to do next. I've copy and pasted the script over now. I did cut out the thing, so it's because going through files is a little bit boring, and I didn't want to completely bore you all, because I'm not like that. Well, I try my best not to be anyway. Yeah. So I'm just carrying on painting the terrain, and it looks a lot prettier now. It looks like something you'd actually want to play in. And I was frantically just moving the brush. I remember actually being a little bit worried about time limit and like how long I've got left. I do check occasionally in the video, or I believe like twice in the video I checked. You would notice that. I'm going to carry on painting the terrain because I've already said I like painting the terrain and making it look good, which I've started doing at the beginning of this year. New Year's resolution and all that. It's working out. One of the first New Year's resolutions that's actually worked out, which is a good for me, I guess. So anyway, I carry on painting the terrain, and now I've finished basically all of painting the terrain, except for this bit. And that should be the last. Yep, that's the last of it. Now I start on the enemy, which is going to be, if you haven't noticed the name of the project, it is Flybot War. So it's going to be flying robots and a few others as well, because if I have time in the next episode I will be doing extra enemy types, So this is the fun part. I've now created a respawn object, so when you kill the enemies, they'll get teleported out of bounds. You won't see them, they won't get rendered, so it shouldn't affect performance of the game. Now I'm just putting the head on. I clone the sphere and make those two new spheres smaller, because I cloned two spheres, and colour them red, which will be after I've created the materials. And I'm trying to see the collider, so I've just messed around with the collider. This one's going to be the hitbox, so when the bullet goes in, it'll be a one hit kill, because there are going to be like 100 of these enemies, and I'm going to be putting on a time limit or timer. There you go, I've just opened up my screen recorder to see how long I've been recording for. So yeah, the aim is to keep under 30 minutes of recording time, even though I've been actually doing this development for about 20 minutes, or the video of the actual development is 20 minutes. And I believe this froze here. Yeah, it froze, and then it's gone back. Just check that. There's my background. Oh, flip. Never mind. So yeah, you saw my background. That's fine. Now I'm just going to add a few more hills, or a little bit of a border. Start on the border of the terrain, so that you know where the boundaries are. I'm probably going to do this vacuum trick shot style borders by just adding walls that have grids or something on around the thing. So not gonna have like solid stone walls or anything, because that will just look a little bit strange, and it'll just put a little bit too much shadow there, and I don't think that'll be good. So now I'm going to be adding the little red eyes, or they'll be white first off and they'll be red after I've created the materials, which I am doing now. So first I create the black one for the head, and I've created them for the eyes. There you go. Now I've done the red, and now I've done the grey. So grey's going to be the head, black's going to be the body, and you can see now red is the eyes. And now I'm saving the scene, just in case it freezes. I should have done that before, not straight away, but beforehand. So yes, I'm going to just call it Warzone 1, if I add any more, which I might not. And now I go into vacuum trick shots just to take one script over, which is a spawner script, which will just spawn as many enemies as I want. So yeah, I'm recycling this script so that I can save quite a bit of time and not have to worry about writing my own, which can take a little bit of a while depending on what the script is trying to do. So now I'm adding tags for the collider, and what will happen now is, after I've added these colliders, I'll add them to the hitbox of the enemy, and then after I've added the hitbox of the enemy's layers, a tag as well, it will allow me to actually kill the enemy, and that will make it teleport away. But I'm probably going to end up making it a little bit more of a simpler thing, and the enemy actually just gets destroyed entirely if it gets killed. So yeah, it'll be a little bit more simple, but then I'd have to prepare the script, so I might not do that. And yes, I've made it 150, and you can see it's gone a little bit wrong. There's one, so I just have a little bit of a go. The AI wasn't working properly, so I'm going to have to redo the AI. It's a little bit miserable how that robot just rolled off a cliff a little bit slowly, but you know, it's fine now. Now I've changed it to 99 because there were quite a lot of performance issues with having it up to 150. I might be able to add difficulty options, so it'll spawn 150 on the hardest, 125 on medium, and like 100 on the easiest option. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to I'm checking the enemy die script, which is meant to be enemy health. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tag that as another layer, which I have to name exactly the same as what it was in Vacuum Trick Shots, because I can't go in Open Visual Studio and edit the script from there. And this doesn't make a difference, so you know, I'm gonna have to fix that in the next episode. Also, the enemies flying off of the terrain, I'll have to add pretty big wall in order for them to hit the wall, come bouncing back, and being able to fight the player, which I might make it so it's like a 2-hit kill for the player. So if the enemy comes into contact with the player twice, you will die. And yeah, well, basically that'll be, you then will get a game over screen, and then you'll try again. You get put straight back into the game, or a waiting lobby or something. I haven't decided on that yet, so now I'm just changing the speed, even though this is a little bit, it's a little bit pointless because this AI script doesn't work as well as it was meant to, unless I've probably forgotten to prefab the enemy. I've just realised a mistake. Don't think I've prefabbed the enemy. That's a little bit stupid of me. Anyway, I'll fix that for next episode, or in the next episode, or part 2. And I'm just placing that there and manually placing stuff around, because, well, it would be a little bit easier if the enemy AI is going to completely work. I'll be able to add more enemies in, as well as having the spawner spawning them in. So I'll be able to have more enemies but there'll probably be performance issues, so I'll see how that goes. Now I have a go at this fighting, and I've won the fight. Not surprisingly, there isn't any AI. But that'll get sorted, like I said a few times before. That'll be sorted in the next part, which will also be the final part, with an extra 23 minutes added onto the clock. So now I'll just have another quick go, and because the bullet travels faster, I now knock the enemy back quite far. I think it's a little bit overpowered. Anyway, let's end this video here. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.